be spending a lot of time with her and energy on her, and be treated just as a friend. To be so feelingly, as you assume, so close to having what you want, but so far away. And in effect, you actually are that far away because you're having a completely different category of relationship than what you want. So let's talk about what the friend zone is, how to get out of it, etc. Okay? So most guys' approach to women is to be nice, be friendly, try and show them what a nice, cool, gentlemanly guy they are. And the assumption is that the girl will say, oh, this is a nice, cool, gentlemanly guy. And we have a lot in common. So I think, logically, it would make sense. He would be a good choice for me as someone to go with. Now, if every girl in the world was Dr. Spock, that would work. And maybe the world would be a better place if women were that rational and logical. However, they are not. Women are emotional beings, and what women respond to is emotional stimulation. Now, the reason for this, we won't get into it too deeply, it's an evolutionary thing, but essentially women are seeking status. Women are seeking the alpha male of the tribe who wouldn't have to be nice to people because he has so much status already. Like, imagine in high school, the stereotypical scene of like the nerdy guy trying to be friends with like the popular jock. The nerdy guy would be like being very nice to the jock and trying to like bend over backwards to please him, whereas the jock would be like, fuck off, go away, we're busy, right? And everyone was responding to the jock and thinking how cool he is, and the nerdy guy's like, you know, ashamed and trying too hard, and it just looks pathetic and lame. And actually that's exactly what's happening, because when you're trying too hard to be with someone, you're being too nice to someone, you're sort of conveying that that's your only option, that you don't have other friends, and people respond to that, right? People respond to, it's prejudgment. It's essentially prejudgment. People usually don't make their own decisions. They make the lazy decision. They make the obvious decision. So they're responding to social cues. Okay. So if someone seems to have a lot of friends, they'll assume that that's a cool person and that they should be friends with them. If someone seems to have no friends, they'll assume that that's a loser and they should not be friends with them. And when you seem to be trying too hard to make friends, you're conveying obliquely that you don't have any. Whereas when you seem to make no effort to make friends or even push people away who are trying to be your friends, you're actually conveying that you have lots of friends. Perverse, it may be. Again, perhaps the world would be better if it was more logical, but I like to interact with the world as it is. It seems to be a more productive way to get through life. So that's how I'm going to talk to you in this case. Now, what exactly do you need to do in order to stay out of the friend zone? What do you do to convey status and to make a conversation move along? Okay, well, what you need to realize is a lot of guys are very nervous about making advances on girls. And there are a few reasons for this. Number one, they don't want the embarrassment of being you're shut down by a girl because of what it does to their social standing. Number two, in our society, there is a lot of like perceived repercussion, right? You're told from a very young age, you know, be polite, open the door for girls, don't offend girls. There's all these like, you know, like this like very feminist culture of like every advance is sexual harassment, that kind of stuff. There's a great Chris Rock joke where he says, I wouldn't even be alive if my father didn't sexually harass my mother. And I think that's very appropriate. Now, I'm not encouraging you to do anything criminal, but what I'm saying is in order to make the move from friend zone to something relationshipy, you have to make the move. You have to do something to bridge that gap. It's not going to happen for you. And why is that? Well, as much as you're nervous about it, as much as it seems wrong for you, it seems far worse for a girl, all right? The perception on girls is that if they make the move, if they are perceived as sexual, even though girls like sex more than guys, be very clear on that, girls like sex more than guys. If you want evidence of that, think about a stereotypical sex scene, who's yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs and who's just like, and who's like, oh my God, right? So girls like sex more, but the problem is they can't be perceived as going for it because then they're perceived as slutty or as like not having morals or not being a quality girl, all right? So the upshot of this is that girls will not usually escalate the situation for you. They will hope and pray and wait that you do. And if you don't, eventually they just assume you're not that kind of guy. And probably they'll hate you for it. They'll probably hate you for depriving them of that fun experience. And then they won't want to have a sexual relationship with you. They'll just put you in that friend category. All right? So you have to assume the burden of making it sexual. And how do you do that? A little at a time. Now, you walk up to a girl and go, hey, bitch, I want to fuck you. Well, that could work sometimes with some girls, but most of the time that's not going to be the best approach. Most of the time what you want to do is just throw something light in and be like, you know what, you're looking really good today, and see how she responds to that. If she responds positively, that's a green light to maybe say something a little more forward. If she responds extremely negatively to that, then maybe that's time to like step back, reevaluate, and consider a different approach. But that doesn't mean that you can't try again later in another sort of like fairly acceptable way as well, right? And the initial first resistance doesn't necessarily mean don't try again ever, but it means maybe step off, give some more time, etc., that sort of thing, okay? But the point is, you have to take the burden of sexualizing the conversation because the girl never will. Okay, so again, giving a genuine compliment is one. A genuine, like, you can even do like sort of general teasing, right? Teasing is sort of a compliment and a takeaway. Be like, you look really cute for a little brat. Something like that, right? Now that's like pushing the limit a little bit more, but it's still not that bad. It's still not that offensive, right? Or you can say, you and I would never get along. That's another interesting one, right? Because you're essentially pushing them away, which is kind of flirtatious and kind of challenging them, right? And again, the kind of guy who they want to go after is the guy of high social status who will be a challenge. So you're kind of challenging them, but at the same time, you're putting it on the table that potentially there is a relationship between you and them, right? If you and I wouldn't get along, implies some form of relationship. So that's another good way. The big thing, though, is you have to make the move. You also have to probably instigate physical touch at some point, right? And again, there are a range for this. You can start with little things first, like just like, you know, shake their hand is even a little one. Or you can just like, you know, give them a little hug, see what happens, see how they respond to that. You don't have to like, you know, throw them up against the wall and try and have sex with them in public to gauge whether they're into you. You can do little maneuvers along the way. And again, you're constantly calibrating. If they seem to be reacting positively, try something a little more bold and more forward. If they react negatively, chill out, relax, back to normal conversation, and then maybe try again at another time. Okay? But the point is, you have to make it go forward. And what you want is this push and pull, right? If you're just like, I like you, I love you, you're amazing, and it's all there, there's no tension for the girl, there's no challenge for the girl. Yes, she knows you like her, which is better than, you know, just being completely friend-zoned, but she's not gonna be very receptive to that because it doesn't seem like she's had to earn it, number one, so it seems like you probably do that with everybody. And number two, she knows how the movie ends. There's no tension, there's no surprise, there's no exhilaration or excitement to it. How much better is it if she doesn't quite know? Like there's the stereotypical cartoon, like where the girl's like picking like the petals off the rose, like he loves me not, he loves me not. You want to kind of give a girl that. So that's where we get this concept of push-pull, right? Be like, you know what I love about you? Absolutely nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like you pretty good, right? That sort of stuff. Just playful little teasing type of things. And that's what you need to start injecting into your conversation. Is this a bit of a risk? Maybe, yeah. Is it going to make you nervous if you've never done it? Absolutely. But if you want to do it, you have to take on that risk, because realize however nervous it makes you, it makes the girl 10 times more nervous. So the very fact that it makes you nervous is the reason why you have to do it, because that just indicates even more so that the girl's not going to. And if sex is not brought up in the conversation, if the idea that you like each other is not present in the conversation, then it's never going to escalate. If you can't talk about sex with the girl, how are you going to have sex with her? All right? So that's it for physical escalation. That's it for emotional escalation. That's it for how to stay out of the friend zone, okay? What do you have to do? Make a move and then calibrate. Know where you're at. Don't push too hard, but you have to assume the burden because she won't. All right? Hope that helps. Till next time.